The holographic star map flickered blue across the obsidian walls of the Vreth Imperial Command vessel. Supreme Warlord Kesrath stood tall, his 4 arms folded behind his armored back, his compound eyes scanning the glowing sphere rotating slowly at the center of the room. "We have identified the target," announced General Morg, tapping his clawed finger against the projection. "Designation, Sol 3. The 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star. Primitive. Divided. Barely space-capable." Kesrath exhaled slowly. "Resources? Abundant, Warlord. Iron. Water. Nitrogen. Oxygen atmosphere. And most importantly, the species is young. Less than 300,000 years of biological evolution. Their civilizations have existed for barely 6,000 years." Morg sneered, a wet clicking sound from deep in his throat. "They still argue amongst themselves. They haven't even unified under a single government." A ripple of amused chitters ran through the assembled officers. "Send the invasion fleet," Kesrath commanded. "Standard planetary subjugation protocol." Nobody in that room thought twice. Nobody warned them. Nobody had ever come back from Earth to warn them. The Vreth fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel beyond the outer planets of the Sol system. 500 warships. Enough firepower to crack a moon. Commander Drivok stood on the bridge of the lead destroyer, watching the blue-green planet grow larger on the view screen. It was, he admitted, a beautiful world. Soft clouds. Bright oceans. Green continents. "Life signs?" he asked. 8 billion units, Commander," replied the scanner technician, a young Vreth named Fisic. "Biological. Carbon-based. Soft-skinned. No exoskeletons. No natural armor plating. No venom glands detected." Fisic paused. "They appear fragile." Drivok almost felt sorry for them. Almost. "Begin descent formation," he ordered. The first Vreth landing pods touched down outside a place called Fort Bragg, North Carolina, USA. Sergeant Major James "Bull" Harding was eating a sandwich when the sky turned black. He put the sandwich down. He looked up. He picked the sandwich back up and took one more bite, because Bull Harding had survived 3 combat deployments, 2 IED blasts, and a grizzly bear encounter in Montana. He was not going to die hungry. "All units, this is Harding," he said calmly into his radio. "We've got bogies dropping from the sky. Looks like about 40 pods. Weapons free upon hostile action. Let's see what they want first." The pods cracked open. The Vreth emerged, 7 feet tall, 4 arms, chitinous exoskeletons, plasma weapons crackling at their sides. They clearly expected screaming. Fleeing. Begging. What they got was Bull Harding walking toward them with a squad of soldiers who looked, frankly, bored. "You're on sovereign United States military property," Bull said flatly. "Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Drivok blinked all 6 of his eyes. This was unexpected. He raised his plasma cannon. Bull Harding dove left. His squad opened fire. Back aboard the command vessel, Fisic was watching the invasion feeds with growing unease. "Commander," he said quietly. "Fort Bragg is not going well." Drivok's voice crackled through static. "Their weapons are primitive, but they're not retreating. They're advancing. They're flanking us." A pause. Explosions in the background. They called for something called air support. "What is air sup?" The feed cut out. Fisic pulled up another feed. Moscow. Beijing. London. Sydney. Tel Aviv. Lagos. Every single landing zone on every single continent was the same story. Humans weren't fleeing. They were fighting. Not just soldiers, civilians were grabbing whatever they could find. Humans were creative with improvised weapons in ways the Vreth biology textbooks had not warned anyone about. Worse, the humans were adapting. Within 4 hours of first contact, they had identified weaknesses in Vreth exoskeleton joints. Within 6 hours, Colonel Rachel Davis of the U.S. Air Force had coordinated a joint strike with 17 other nations that destroyed 40 Vreth vessels using weapons that weren't even technically designed for space warfare. Warlord Kesrath received the battle report in silence. Losses, 30% of the fleet. In one planetary rotation. They are not unified, he whispered. You told me they were not unified. Morg said nothing. They had 195 different nations, Kesrath continued, his voice rising. They had centuries of wars against each other. And in less than 12 hours they were coordinating globally? It appears, Morg said carefully, that humans set aside their internal conflicts when faced with an external threat. A long silence filled the war room. Pull back the fleet, Kesrath said quietly. Warlord. Pull back the fleet. As the Vreth ships limped back into FTL, Fisick pulled up the complete intelligence file on humanity, the file they should have read before the invasion. Species, Homo sapiens. Threat classification, unrated, insufficient prior contact. Notable traits, extreme adaptability. Coalition building under pressure. High pain tolerance. Documented history of defeating larger, stronger, better equipped opponents through tactics, stubbornness, and sheer refusal to accept unfavorable odds. At the very bottom of the file, added by some unnamed Vreth scout drone 3 decades earlier, was a single note. Species has no natural predators. Exterminated most apex threats on their own planet. Recommend avoiding direct confrontation. Fisick stared at it for a long time. Nobody had read it. Bull Harding sat on the hood of a Humvee, watching the alien ships disappear into the upper atmosphere. Around him, soldiers from 6 different countries were sharing water and field rations, laughing, clapping each other on the back. His radio buzzed. Harding, this is General Mitchell at the Pentagon. What's your status? Bull watched the last alien ship vanish into the stars. They left, sir, he said simply. A pause. Just, left? Yes, sir. Bull picked up the other half of his sandwich. I think we scared them. Another pause. Carry on, Sergeant Major. Bull took a bite. Somewhere in deep space, a Vreth warlord was updating the Galactic Threat Registry. Under Sol 3, Earth, he typed 4 words in large, permanent letters. Do not invade. Ever.